got stay strapped before you die smoking. On 3 eyes, I keep my eyes open. Ain't no competition, I'm God's chosen. On 3 eyes, I keep my eyes open. If you got stay strapped before you die smoking. On 3 eyes, I keep my eyes open. Ain't no competition, I'm God's chosen.
Peace, love, life, and balance. Real quick, family, and I'm gonna speak from the perspective of a dedicated black father, and a father who I hope that is the highest title, the highest honor that a man can have, is to be a father. But what y'all must understand, especially women and even other men, about single fathers and men who are fighting for custody of their fathers, it is a very exhausting, rigorous, very painful, very excruciating process when trying to see your children or be in your children's lives, and the female that you had the children with is not cooperative. It's not an easy process, and a lot of you brothers who try to speak too quickly on men, like you get with a woman and the woman has kids and she's bashing the father. First of all, if you jump in and start bashing the father as well, you are a suck ass dude, man. That is a simp. I think they overuse him, but that is a simp right there. You never just bash another man without meeting him. You should never have hatred or bash a man without meeting that man and talking to that man and getting that man's side of the story. Another issue is that a lot of times when these relationships happen, the mother wants to erase the real father out the life and try to start all over. A lot of women unfortunately do that, and in that process, unfortunately, the kid ends up being the victim. They lose relationship with the father, and they get misinformation about the father. Too often in the society, it's the fathers get judged very easily. I see all these posts every day on social media about I gotta be mama and daddy. The daddy ain't ish, and me going through this type of stuff. Me being a man who spent 6 figures on legal defense to see my kids, and all together with all my situations and business, buy my kids whatever I can when I was with their mother, gave thousands, and then we show up in court, and then she'll say to someone else that he doesn't do anything for the kid, he hasn't paid X, Y, and Z. Of course, I take those stories with a grain of salt, because I know that a lot of times fathers are painted to be something that they not. And you got to understand that the process with trying to be a father, especially a black father, is made to make you quit and give up. And even though I never quit and give up, I totally understand why some men have quit and given up. So you have to be cognizant of that. You got the system against you as a black man, and unfortunately a woman against you. You have to understand, ladies, especially men as well. Y'all have to understand, because a lot of men, unfortunately, men are, a lot of times when they meet a woman who has kids, they go the route, and I've done it myself as a young man, an idiot, and caught myself and checked myself for it. But definitely a lot of times men get with women and just believe the side of the story, or they want to believe that woman's side of the story, and they pile on another man just to get some stank on their finger, man, just to get some, some kitty cat. They'll do that just for some coochie, man. They'll totally throw another man under the bus. And a lot of time it's very, in society, especially Western society, in American society, it's very easy to dump and shit on men, and especially black men, because no one's gonna really care, to be honest with you. Even other men are not gonna really care. That's just how it is, whether it's fair or not. And if it is people that care, their voice is gonna be so small that no one's gonna really give a damn. Now we're just starting to see the popularization of men's spaces, but you gotta understand, you guys, especially women that are stumbling because of the internet, are stumbling up on these, but these spaces been around forever. Men been talking these points, these red pill points, and all these points about female nature, dating. This is not new stuff. Kevin Samuels is actually a new booty in this range. Fresh and Fit, these guys are new.
the stuff that they saying, they're piggybacking from older content creators. This been around pre-internet. This been around forever, but even in the platform, as far as how it is, as how you see it today, that's been around for a minute. The manosphere has been around for a very long time. It's just been like it didn't have the exposure it has now. But now with the exposure, a lot of people are like, whoa, a lot of people, because we so drenched in certain narratives that you conditioned to not hear a man give his voice. Now, there's a difference between men speaking as men and addressing the issues and dealing with female nature, and men bashing women. I don't support platforms where men bash women, all right? Or where they sit up there and they cry like bitches about women. Y'all see me on here or whatever platform you watch me on right now, other platforms, y'all know I don't rock with that. But I do think that men do need to be educational towards other men, and men do need to be, older men need to help young men deal with female nature. And the internet has been, these spaces has done some good as well. A lot of young men who didn't have father figures or had limited father figures are now able to go and get information that they can't get access to. The danger is so much negative and toxic information. They got to sift through that to get to the good information. And that's why I'm taking the onus on myself to help put out good information, to point towards good information for these young men and young women as well, because it helps young women as well. But what y'all have to understand, for a father, especially a black father, don't be so quick to bash. I don't care if you think the guy's a scumbag or even if his character ain't all the way there, because the black man's nature is very caring, very nurturous. Why do you think the black men are the catfish of the dating market? Why do you think that a lot of these Caucasian women and Asian women, when they know they can't, cut it no more in their community, they come to the black man? Cause they'll leave for a black man. It don't be just sexually. I'm talking about in marriage. I'm not talking about, we know sexually they do it any time. I'm talking about as far as marriage. They'll fall back on black men because they feel that it's a stigma on black men and we'll accept anything. And the stigma, unfortunately, is well earned. You gotta understand, that's part of our slavery. That's part of the Holocaust of our slavery. Part of the issues that we're still dealing with. Far as now, I don't preach the victim mentality, but I also don't preach that we're supposed to just erase and forget our oppression. You gotta have a balance. You gotta be able to understand what you're dealing with and conquer it. You can't ignore it, and you also can't glorify it. You have to just deal with it. But you gotta understand the trauma that we went through as black men, being emasculated in front of our women. Having not being able to be a man our whole entire lives, and we had it's been black men who lived their whole life in slavery and died a slave and watched and procreated and saw their kids be slaves. So that creates a lot of trauma. So the black man oftentimes he'll accept that his woman is not as healthy. He'll accept that a woman of another race just throwing him some crumbs, because to him that's an upgrade, because he has a slave mentality. He doesn't have. I don't accept that. I prefer and deal with women of my culture for the most part. I don't really deal with white women. I deal with Latino women, whatever. Not saying I haven't dealt with. I dealt with every type of woman, but I prefer and I exclusively pretty much deal with my culture. But I understand the draw. I understand people who have certain traumas and certain validation needs that step outside the culture. That's why I'm not quick to judge. I totally understand. I'm not going. I've sit and watched. I've had black friends that were male who I went to high school with or school with, that I seen get teased and rejected and humiliated by black women the entire time and shitted on. I mean, over and over again, and then become successful. And then the woman who was accepting them and accepting his little quirkiness and his differentness as a black man, that he wasn't like a regular black dude, maybe kind of nerdy or whatever it was he was giving just about a black woman, accepting him. He's now comfortable with that woman. And then when he gets to a place of success and he wants to settle down and he takes that woman to be a wife or whatever, he's just doing what he was comfortable with. He didn't get any comfort or any welcoming mat. And this is from a Black Panther. This is from Chief General Commander, legendary Black Panther Party. This is from someone who sticks up hard for sisters, and I would never leave this my sisters, but that's me. That don't mean I don't understand somebody else's plight, but dealing with that situation, vice versa for women, black women go through it too. But people are going to go. You only got one life to live. People are not going to waste their whole life to try to figure something out. Now you got some people who like me, who like, nah, I'm just if I got to do it like that, and both are fine. I think that we got to understand where we're coming from. But back to the topic at hand. Don't be so quick to judge, especially a black man's situation, but any man, period, when they're in a situation where they're being accused of not being able to take care of their kids. You got to understand and deal with and factor in the factors as, first of all the laws are geared towards women for the most part in most states. You got some states that are better than others, but they're very, and to a certain, I don't say that as to complain or try to, but it's true for one thing, and to a certain extent, women are physically less imposing. Women are weaker physically, so they're going to need some way to even it out. I understand. I don't think I think it goes too far, but I understand the concept. Also, you got to understand that you as a black man, in addition to your trauma, in addition to the laws, right? You're dealing with the trauma, if it's a black woman, of the black woman. You're dealing with her trauma. She has her own trauma issue. We have bonding traumas issue. Now with this social media stuff that we got, that's even added more affliction and more mental issues. Okay? Then you got to understand that society is already, as a black man, they already assuming that you're not shit. They're already assuming that you're irresponsible. So you constantly hearing that you're irresponsible. Or if you got more than one baby mother, you automatically assume to be just some dude that's just fucking chicks and leaving them for dead. They automatically assume that. They don't even ask you the situations. I go through it all the time. I've never intentionally made any single mother, but the assumption that I get all the time is that I'm just out here making babies, when it's not the case. When it's a lot of trauma to deal with, and in the process of bonding and living, I'm an older man now. I got a son who's going to college, so through the process of life, and I take responsibility for all my situations, good and bad. And to be real with you, most of my situations have been good. Sometimes stuff just don't work out, but it is what it is. You get that stigma on you as a black man, so you don't have the encouragement. You got all the words. You automatically assume to be a deadbeat before you even given a chance to be a father. You automatically have a woman who's incentivized to not be with you. You gotta understand the way the system works. They have W-2 or welfare, food stamps, housing. They get, just for having a baby, they get every health care. They get all of this shit for free. And if you're not a rich, and even if you is well off, you could be making a decent income and not be able to provide all that for a woman and a child, for whatever your situation may be. That's a lot to compete with. So the black woman is incentivized, women period, they're incentivized to be single in this system. There's really, when they say they don't need independent and don't need a man, now we know that that's not true. From an aspect of true optimal performance on a humanistic level, but in just bare functionability, that is true for a lot of women. They don't have, they can get assistance. They have police protection, law enforcement. They have a lot of factors going for them. So you got to understand that those are some of the obstacles. Also, another thing that you have to understand is that if you're a desirable black man, okay, if you have anything going for you, whether it's physical, anything going for you, right, and you're not with the woman because you chose to not be with that woman, going back to the black man is the bottom of the totem pole and expected to take the least of society. You're not society, everyone, even your own black men, even black women, even white people, they are going to look at you like, who are you to reject this situation? Even it could be abusive. It could be, I was in a marriage where it was very abusive, where my ex stabbed at me, shot at me, whatever, everything you could think of, right? But your community, your quote unquote community, tell you, oh, you gotta tough that out. You gotta man up that out. So when you break up with that woman and you still want to be a father, she hasn't, because society is not going to go after her for the most part. she hasn't dealt with any of them issues. Now you're not even with this woman. She has your seed, and she has all these issues, and you're just a sitting duck with pretty much little to no help. And she can execute. Now she can not only execute all her bitterness toward you by especially through your kid, but she also has the backing of the government. She has the backing of public opinion, of social media, of the court of public opinion. She has the backing of society. She has everything to encourage her. Yeah, you have some people sticking up for you and saying this, but corporately, she's going to have way more back. If every one person you got support, she's going to have 100. You got a lot to fight against, okay? And a lot of times, I remember being a kid, hearing about my grandfather or father or things of that nature, and kids ask themselves questions, and then why they not here? And you start to try to create bitterness in your kid, but that always backfire. Because just like I grew up and found that, now thankfully my mother didn't talk down on my father, but she also didn't tell me everything either, but at least I didn't deal with that. But I seen it, and I have dealt with it on somewhat of a level. Is just my mom was a sweetheart. She ain't gonna talk bad, and she did love my father. And as she loves my father now, my stepfather now, she loved him. But you know, she didn't go out of her way to connect me with that side once she passed. I had to do it on my own and find out on my own. And that's the thing y'all gotta understand, especially you women that got kids. That son is going to seek out for his own. He's going to seek out for his own, his identity. That's what a man's going to do. A man's going to always want to know where he come from. I mean, shoot, a girl, a woman too. Kids are going to want to know where they come from, male or female. They're going to get curious about how they got here biologically. They can have the best stepdad in the world. It's not going to take away that natural biological connection. You can't undo that and can't replace that. So, dealing with malicious mother syndromes, and dealing with the problems that men go through, you can't just assume that a man's a dead. Now, look, are there deadbeats out there and piece of shit fathers? Absolutely, there are. Absolutely, we know that. We know that to be true. But a lot of times, man, you gotta understand, this system is not designed to keep you encouraged. If you're trying to fight, it's very hard to fight to get custody or get some type of arrangement in the family court as a man. It's very, very hard. If you ain't never been through that, you should not speak on that. It is super hard. You gotta go through loops, and you gotta keep fighting and keep fighting. And you're not going to get your first request granted. You may have to go back to court. It's going to take you at minimal to get a decent result. 2 to 3 years is actually excellent, speedy. That's excellent time. If you have a custody situation, it only takes 2 or 3 years to get resolved fully. That's not bad. And that's terrible. 2 to 3 years of your life where you're just fighting, and you don't even know the outcome. You might not even see it. That's terrible. So you have to understand, and I'm not excusing it, but you can understand something without excusing it. That's why a lot of men give up. That right there. And as a man, you can't give up. You can't give in to that if you truly love your children. You have to fight through that. A lot of men just simply give up. They would get some type of, the progress I've made, with my custody situation, it takes time and years, man. It takes time and years. It's not going to be, you might fight for way longer than what I said. I've known brothers who've been in custody battles, but it's your legacy. It's your kids. That's part of the game. You can't sit and complain about it, man. You can vent, do whatever, but you got to get back on the horse. But a lot of times, don't like I've said, y'all can't be so quick to judge and dismiss and throw these fathers away like they ain't shit. They don't want to be a daddy. Man, it's hard because you gotta understand why. As a man, as you fighting to see your kids, you still gotta live your life. You still gotta eat every day. You still gotta and you're not getting the assistance the mother's getting. You're not getting no child support. You're not getting no welfare. You're not getting no stamps. You're not getting none of that. You still got to make it and survive every day as a man. Even if you is getting that, they don't give you shit for a man. You know what they give for? They don't give you enough as a man. And for a man, they give you enough. They give you enough to be homeless and eat and go to the grocery store a little bit and just not die. You don't got enough to really do nothing as far as government assistance. No man should be dependent or get on government assistance. It's actually going to set you back and demotivate you as a man. But the thing is, you can't just go ahead and just chalk a dude up because you see the mom complaining, or even the family, or even other men complaining. You got to know the details of the situations. Now, like I said, there are piece of shit fathers out here. We know that. But I'm gonna keep it 1,000 wild. We're gonna keep it 1,000 wild, like E40 say. Some of these deadbeats didn't start out wanting to be deadbeats. Some of these deadbeats was made deadbeats. Some of these deadbeats are deadbeats because the system that malicious baby mama terrorists, simps, whatever it may be, all these situations combined and tried to beat his ass down till he was dead. Like, I understand what deadbeat mean now. It don't just mean, oh, he just said, no, deadbeat mean the system done beat your ass down to where you said, I'm dead, I quit, I give up. That's why I refuse to be a deadbeat. But I understand we are in a society, in the system that is created to make deadbeat daddies, especially if you're a black man. This system is designed to beat you down till you're dead. Well, you can't father your children, for they can father your children. The system wants to father your children. Society and the government wants to father your children. They don't want you to be the father and be the leader and to start a legacy and to build and to put in that good health into because there's health in disassociation. You learn, even if you're not a healthy eating family, right? Just by being to your next of kin, look, we know about organ donors, but let's just say even without organ donors, it's actual literal health benefits to you being around your biologically, breathing the same biological air as your kids. Now, I know I'm speaking something deep. I will do a video breaking that down, but that's actually true. It's bigger than what y'all think. All right? It's bigger than what y'all know. There is a conspiracy going on against the family structure, especially the black family structure. They do not want the family structure to ever have any semblance of a foundation or functionability, because when there's strong family structures, dynasties are built. When dynasties are built, stronger leaders arise. The stronger leaders are built, revolution happens. New society happens. They don't want none of that. They want to control that. So understand what we up against before we jump down father strokes and label them deadbeats. Let's always get the facts. Let's always stay on point. Let's always be fair to both sides. And we know we love those mothers out there who really need the help, because at the end of the day, it's a lot of women out here who really are good women that really did meet a bad guy that was a deadbeat. So we need to have a point of I'm saying the word messed up. Differentiation, all right? We have to be able to differentiate between the real deadbeats and the fake deadbeats, just like when the victim women and the women who are really victims and women who cry victim. We can't never do that unless we set hard standards. So let's set hard standards. Let's just stop taking people's word for it on any accusations. It's unfortunate that some people make accusations that are real and they don't get dealt with properly. But that don't mean that we got to take everybody's word for it, all right? And just throw innocent people under the bus. Let's do better as people. So with that being said, peace, love, life, and balance.